days or 10. He should remember 2 things. 1, Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. 2, each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country. Don't go down the Sleepy Joe road.
President Trump has taken to Truth Social saying he is sending, quote, 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that.
Okay, class, what was the reason for the nuclear war in 2025? Playground insults, that's correct.
The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about 1 peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Russia today hit Kyiv with missiles and drones, more than 100 people, kids.
I think it's Russia, I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting. This is Biden's war. It's not my war. But I said if I get in, I'll try and get the thing stopped. But I think what Russia's doing is very sad. A lot of Russians are dying. You have a lot of Russians, more Russians are dying. But Russians are dying, Ukrainians are dying. You know, the United States isn't really involved in that war. It shouldn't be. And by the way, I made a deal with NATO where NATO pays us for everything that we send. We send them ammunition, missiles, etc. And we're not paying anything for that war. But I will tell you this, it should be stopped. It's a disgrace. And the ones that are dying are they're losing 7,000 now. It was 5,000. They're losing now 7,000 soldiers a week, Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And they're also losing people now in the towns and cities because Putin's hitting them with rockets.
Of course, name-calling is what has got Trump's guard up regarding Russia. Not the fact that Putin's been playing him like a fiddle for years, but because the former Russian president compared him to, quote, Sleepy Joe Biden. The deputy chair of Russia's Security Council sparked a war of words when he reacted mockingly to Trump's ultimatum that Russia reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine within 10 days, or the US will inflict debilitating secondary tariffs on its trading partners. Vladimir Putin's former prime minister invoked Trump's disparaging nickname for his predecessor, urging him not to go down, quote, the Sleepy Joe road, saying that Trump's threats were marching the 2 countries towards war, which in turn, of course, resulted in Trump blasting back. And more threats were made, like the entire world wasn't collateral in this situation, saying the Russian was playing with fire and, quote, entering very dangerous territory. I mean, these are the people governing the world. All of which started because Trump announced a deadline which the Russian official mocked, saying, quote, the world shuddered, expecting the consequences. Belligerent Europe was disappointed. Russia didn't care. And is anyone surprised that this is where we're at regarding diplomacy? Of course, the thing that riled Trump up the most was being referred to like Biden. I mean, he's a petulant child. He's had months to get mad at Vladimir Putin for literally making a mockery of his demands. And let's not forget who said this war would be resolved day 1 of his presidency. That's right, it was Trump.
I would fix that within 24 hours. And if I win, before I get into the office, I will have that war settled. 100% sure. As president-elect, if I win this election, the first thing I'm going to do is call up Zelensky and call up President Putin, and I'm going to say, you got to make a deal. This is crazy.
You said you would end the Russia-Ukraine war on your first day in office. Where do things stand right now, and how do you okay?
Well, there's only half a day. I have another half a day left. We'll see.
His handling of Putin has been so bad, so lackluster, so weak that even Fox News can't help but spin it.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay?
I don't think Putin has changed. I don't know what the president's talking about. This is the way Putin has always been. He's always been a particularly brutal dictator, willing to take whatever measures he thought necessary to advance his interests, whatever he thought he could get away with. He thought he could get away with invading Ukraine. He thought he could conquer Ukraine in a matter of days. He failed to do that, and he has been spending his own people's blood and treasure for as long as he's needed to after that. And now he seems more intent than ever. He's the same old Vladimir Putin. So I hope the president has had a real moment of truth about him.
Brit Hume. And Brit, you heard what President Trump had to say there about Russia. You reacted to it a short while ago, saying that you're glad to hear President Trump say this. Putin hasn't changed. He's always been a brutal tyrant. But do you think those comments mean a change from the White House? Are we going to see sanctions, or does President Trump just wash his hands of this whole thing?
Well, I think it's something to hope for, Rich. I do. But the president has always had a very odd conception of Vladimir Putin. I think he's thought that he and Putin could be kind of friends and partners and could make deals together and so on. I don't think Putin has changed. I don't know what the president's talking about. This is the way Putin has always been. He's always been a particularly brutal dictator, willing to take whatever measures he thought necessary to advance his interests, whatever he thought he could get away with. He thought he could get away with invading Ukraine. He thought he could conquer Ukraine in a matter of days. He failed to do that, and he has been spending his own people's blood and treasure for as long as he's needed to after that. And now he seems more intent than ever. He's the same old Vladimir Putin. So I hope the president has had a real moment of truth about him and will proceed accordingly. He does, as you've just heard pointed out, have leverage, economic leverage in particular, but military leverage as well, because we could supply the Ukrainians with more arms than we have, and that might turn the tide.
That's been a perspective in Congress, even within the president's own party. Some are now saying it's time to get the sanctions on. Here's what Senator Chuck Grassley had to say. He wrote, "I've had enough of Putin killing innocent people. President Trump, take action, at least on sanctions." Do you think that Congress is going to act here with or without the president's blessing?
Well, I think it would be hard for Congress to act without the president participating. But I think that the sanctions are really a possibility for the president and for Congress if they choose to work together in this instance, because Russia is dependent on oil sales and oil transfers and energy. That's, you've heard it said that that country is nothing but a gas station with nuclear weapons. And there's some truth in that. And if we were to impose secondary sanctions on countries that are buying oil and natural gas from Russia, that could have a real impact on the Russian economy, and it's something I think Putin would feel, and it might get him to change his ways. Whether we'll do that, I don't know, but at least the president says he's considering it, and that's something to be celebrated, I think.
Another conversation in Washington, of course, on all this reporting about former President Biden's condition when he was president of the United States. Here is what one of the co-authors of that new book out had to say.
These aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe, that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things.
Brett, you look ahead to who might run for the Democratic Party for president in 2028. It's filled with people who were defending President Biden and his run for president last year, right?
Yeah, I think that's right, Rich. And I think that the stain of having one way or another participated in this whole system where they were pretending that Biden was fine. Look, those members of Congress had more reason than the ordinary American citizen had to notice Biden's condition. It was screamingly obvious to anybody willing to face it. I think they all knew, members of Congress, members of the administration, prominent Democrats across the country. They all saw this. Most of them pretended it wasn't happening. And I think they're stained by that. The question, I think, for all of them is whether that stain will wear off in time for the presidential election coming up in 2028. And I'm not sure it will. This was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and then going into the midterms for next year. Brit Hume, as always, thanks so much for your time and analysis this evening.
God help the world if they dare go after his golf game.
New Midas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.